They used to say cheaters never prosper. Not anymore.
It's almost become a case of who can cheat better.
Schools are facing wired sneaks chasing A's at any cost, except apparently studying.
It's a fraud against the kids who play by the rules.
And you think parents are tut-tutting on the sidelines?
The parent is emailing me and saying, can you write this essay for my kid, and here's my credit card.
Kids may be the problem, but it sure doesn't start with them.
Where the adults are in charge, there seems to be a lot of cheating.
I'm Anne-Marie McDonald, and this is Faking the Grade. This is the moment parents dream about. All those years of helping with homework, all that money spent on tuition and books, have finally paid off. But wait till you see what some of our little darlings have been doing to get here.
Cheat as much as you want. Cheat as much as you want. It'll only make you a better person.
Half of the undergraduates who responded to one Canadian study admitted to cheating in university. 3/4 said they cheated in high school. The evidence and the cheating know-how are just a click away on the internet.
What I did is I took a rubber band,
a pencil,
eraser. I'm going to show you 2 ways of how to cheat with this.
Cheat as much as you want.
There are dozens of sites and no shortage of visitors.
I write whatever I needed to write on the rubber band, very small.
Roll up your paper, put it inside the pen, and it'll be like that.
When you're done, line it up, make sure it fits right.
Here, cheating tools and techniques are clearly explained.
You can write whole sentences on here and no one will have any idea what's on there.
This site offers step-by-step instructions on how to replace the label on a soft drink bottle with your own version.
As much as you want.
Complete with exam answers hidden in the ingredient list. It's all about young people using their technical know-how and their creativity to get the grades they want and need.
No one ever caught me or came close to catching me. Use it for anything you want. Cheat as much as you want. It'll only make you a better person.
Cheat as much as you want.
It is the safest and most undetectable form of invisible communication available.
A lot of brain power, new technology, and some cold hard cash are going into beating the teacher and the test.
Through a hidden microphone, a signal button in his shoe, an invisible earpiece.
With this Bluetooth device, a student taking an exam can whisper the questions to an outside helper, who transmits the answers back to a tiny earpiece hidden inside the exam taker's ear. About 20% of students engage in this kind of serious cheating, according to U.S. research conducted by Rutgers University's Don McCabe.
I think we've been raising and are raising now a generation that have a hard time making the distinction really deep down inside between right and wrong.
He says, with so many students cheating, simply telling our kids not to isn't really the solution.
It's tough because if you tell your kid not to cheat, that child is immediately at a disadvantage. And if you tell them to cheat, I think you put them at a longer-term disadvantage of greater consequence. I see it as almost a no-win situation for parents today, which is very unfortunate.
Schools and universities everywhere are struggling to cope with an epidemic of cheating. In upscale Great Neck, New York, Samuel Eschagoff was recently accused of using fake ID to gain entry to exam rooms so that he could write all-important college entry tests for other, weaker students.
It all started with some kid approaching me, and he's like, yo, you're good on your SATs, and I'm not, and you know this is possible, so how much is it gonna take?
At least 15 students paid up to $2,500 for his services.
I would call him an academic gun for hire. This was a huge fraud from my perspective. Lots of money exchanging hands. There were high stakes involved. It's a fraud on many different levels, but most importantly, against the kids who play by the rules.
much as you want.
Student cheating scandals have been popping up in newspapers across North America.
Cheat as much as you want.
In 2010, 9 King's College students in Canada were found guilty of doing the devil's work, plagiarizing an essay on Dante's Divine Comedy.
Cheat as much as you want.
And there are plenty of other ways to cheat, like sabotage. Guaranteeing that you're at the top of the class by making sure the competition can't locate the facts they need to finish an assignment.
Cheat.
Or finding the odd teacher you can bribe with cash or sex to get that all-important A.
Then all of a sudden they find out it's a lot easier. It takes a lot less time. They're getting the same good grades they used to get, maybe even better. You wind up with everybody cheating, and it's almost become a case of who can cheat better.
And it's never been easier. You can always order an essay online. David Tomar shocked the academic world recently when he stepped out of the shadows, claiming that he had been earning more than $50,000 a year writing essays for others, a career that began in college.
I'll tell you quite frankly, I charged a combination of money and weed to write papers for students, and it was, you know, $10 a page and a bag that I could smoke while writing it, you know?
Later, he turned pro, hooking up with an agency that brokered his services. His customers came from across the US and Canada, even Europe. His favorites were the rich kids with plenty of cash to spare.
Cheat as much as you want.
In this particular buying demographic, they are going to buy their way to their success however they have to do it, and they don't have to be particularly smart.
Students emailed him their assignments. He surfed the net searching for appropriate content, then began to write. Everything from ethics papers for nurses to essays about Jesus for church leaders in training.
I don't excuse those students that are paying for my services and handing in the assignments, but hell, you know, you're competing with them, you're competing with me. What's the difference? That's the way of the real world. You know, you're going to have to go out there and compete with all the honest and dishonest and talented and stupid people, you know, and that's just how it's going to be. So for those who take it personally, you know, mind your own business.
Don McCabe and his Canadian colleague Julia Christensen Hughes collaborate on research. McCabe says in the US, business students cheat the most. Engineering students are often near the top of the list, and so are communications and journalism students. Women studied at one university said they don't cheat when they're in a women-only class. But when it's a co-ed group, they said everything changes.
They said, well, when we take courses with just the women, we don't cheat, but when we do with the men, we do because we know that's what they're doing and we feel the need to cheat to compete.
I still find in the most egregious forms of cheating, the ones that involve the biggest risk, men are still a little more willing to engage in that risk than women, but other than that, they're pretty much equal now.
The truth is, college and university have never been tougher. Thousands of students competing for top marks, and just a handful of openings in grad school. These University of Toronto students say it's a pressure cooker.
You need to not only be in the top 10%, you need to be in the top 5%, top 2%, depending on the school that you want. There's your parents, you know, there's your whole community kind of expecting you to do well and expecting you to have a fantastic career. And, you know, when everyone is in that situation, then it's just kind of do or die.
They're doing terrible things to their bodies, you know, they're not exercising, they're doing energy drinks, caffeine pills. Yeah. Some people are doing fairly heavy drugs to stay awake or to stay focused. And I think as students start to sort of cheat their biological laws in staying up 19 straight hours to do exams, they're going to start cheating the institutional laws to give themselves another leg up.
These students insist they've never cheated, but this student has. He agreed to talk about his cheating ways as long as we concealed his identity and changed his voice. He says he's become pretty good at secretly eyeballing other students' answer sheets during exams.
If it's a multiple choice, you can kind of see what numbers they're filling in on the Scantron sheets. You can kind of see where the dots are.
He admits it does make him feel a little guilty.
It bothers me probably the rest of the day or the rest of the night, but, you know, when the morning comes, it's business as usual.
Their cheating is primarily our fault. Where do you think they learn their morals? They're kids.
Shmuley Boteach is one of America's leading rabbis. He's a regular on the talk show circuit. He's an expert on relationships and parenting, and he used to counsel Michael Jackson. When it comes to kids, he's got street cred. He's got plenty of his own.
What we value, they value. What we say is important, they'll determine as important. If they try to talk to you and you're looking at your BlackBerry, then you're giving this, the message that my business contacts mean more to me than you do. Well, and as they internalize that lack of attention, and as they internalize that neglect, they will also do anything to be successful in order to get attention. Because they also want to be loved. And what you're telling them is you're not loved for what you are, my child, my friend. You're loved for what you do, for your prosperity. And that's the insidious message that leads to dishonesty. Kids cheat when they believe that only success will get them love. And kids are honest when they believe that morality will get them love.
This student believes his parents know he cheats.
I think they'd understand for the most part, and they know there's a lot more pressure these days, so I think they'd be okay with it.
It's one thing to look the other way when our kids are cheating. Quite another to help them. Bob Leonard is a retired New York cop. He sells covert surveillance and communications gear to corporations and security personnel. And he has another kind of customer.
Students will come in, and sometimes with their parents, and they'll try to beat around the bush, so to speak, not to really tell me what they need.
This is what they're looking for.
This is an open mic. This will receive and transmit.
One of those Bluetooth devices with a clandestine earpiece and a wireless connection to a hidden cell phone.
We go over your head.
Professional grade and perfect for cheating.
This little item would go in your ear.
The price? $900.
And this would communicate to the Bluetooth. Bluetooth communicates to the telephone.
But Bob refuses to sell them to students and their parents.
I throw them out. Sooner or later, I throw them out in a nice way. Sometimes not so nice.
And for good reason, because there's evidence that students who start cheating in school will end up cheating as adults.
We try to avoid those people if we can because of my recurring nightmare that I have. I help somebody cheat on a test to become a doctor, for instance, and lo and behold, one wild night in my life, I get wheeled into the emergency room. There's the doctor that had to cheat on the test. He's my doctor. That's not good.
Shadow scholar David Tomar says parents were only too willing to help their kids cheat.
In other words, the parent is emailing me and saying, you know, my kid needs this, my kid needs that, and can you write this essay for my kid, and here's my credit card.
He says we shouldn't be surprised.
It's an investment. The outcome is a diploma. The outcome is a degree, and I don't know that the kid's parent is particularly worried about how much Junior learned in a class. So, you know, you can hardly blame them for protecting their investment against a bad grade.
I wish I could say that I'm surprised to hear that parents are paying for their kids to eavesdrop or have other people do their essays for them. I'm not surprised, because we are unfortunately not the most responsible generation of parents that has ever lived. We're a very loving generation, and in our mistaken understanding of love and in our all-out obsession to see our kids succeed, we're prepared to do really, really weird stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But the question is, what impact does all that weird stuff have on our kids?
When you deprive your child of that feeling that they did this and they earned it and they deserve pride in their efforts, well, you've robbed them of happiness. They'll never be happy.
But it seems like finding happiness isn't a priority anymore. The relentless pursuit of fame and fortune, obtained at any price, has taken its place. David Callahan is a senior fellow at Demos. a New York think tank, and the author of The Cheating Culture.
Many young people feel that the way you get ahead is by cheating. Where do they get that idea from? They get that idea from watching the news, seeing what's going on Wall Street, seeing what's going on in Major League Baseball and sports. In any sector of society where the adults are in charge, there seems to be a lot of cheating. So I think that a lot of young people believe that that's the way the world works.
Yes.
These Georgia State students in America agree.
A lot of my generation, they look up to these sports stars and these rap stars and music stars. And so what they see them doing, they're going to implement on their lives because they think, oh, he can do it, I can do it. I want to be like him. So let me go out, let me lie, let me cheat on my wife, let me do this and try to keep it undercover. But
yeah, and then they think they'll get away with it more because they see them get away with it. So it affects our generation.
Cheat.
Sometimes it seems like cheating and dishonesty are everywhere.
Resigning from his position of dean.
As much as you want.
There's the Canadian Dean of Medicine who recently plagiarized part of a speech to medical school grads. And the 22 FBI officers and supervisors who were disciplined for cheating on an anti-terrorism exam. And meet Joe Matthews, Deputy Chief of Canada's Niagara Regional Police Service. He has the unappetizing job of explaining how several of his officers who were hoping to get promoted got leaked copies of a test.
The bottom line is we recruit from the human race, and our officers are human. As I like to say, we don't employ robots. We expect honesty and integrity from them, but we're all subject to the same human frailties as everyone else.
A lot of people say it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Cheating has become a way to survive and win.
Basically, right now, how the economy is at this moment, everybody wants to cheat.
The government's not honest, and neither is anybody else.
Honesty is probably the least valued moral that people have, and it's the most treasured thing that nobody has.
Honesty, definitely, especially with my wife standing to my left. I'm definitely honest at all times.
I worked at a recruiting firm for about 1.5 years, and it's all lying. Like, everyone is freaking lying through their teeth.
Well, that's how it
like,
well, that's it.
They're lying straight through their teeth.
On their resumes?
Yeah, their resumes, interview process, everything.
People who should be enforcing the rules aren't enforcing the rules, whether it's colleges that aren't cracking down on cheating, the government that let all the cheating in Wall Street go on. Here's the thing, when the heat is on, or when the price is right, or when people just aren't thinking things through, they'll compromise that integrity. And lately the heat has been on for a lot of people, or the price has been right. Either they feel like there's that gun to their head, or they feel like, boy, that carrot is so big, it makes sense to cut corners to try to get it.
When we return, a professional cheater weighs in on student cheating.
What would I have done if I hadn't become a casino cheat? I would have taken people's SAT exams and charged a hefty price for it.
And teachers take on the cheaters. It's a war out there.
Let's keep this quiet because, quite frankly, I'm a teacher. I don't want to lose my job.
The all-new 2014 Infiniti Q50 is driving the future. With an available 360 horsepower hybrid engine, it exhilarates, satisfying your need for power and intensity. Infiniti, inspired performance.
Got kids? Over the next 25 years, Canada's oil sands could create over 800,000 new jobs across Canada in all sorts of fields. Learn more about Canada's energy at oilsandstoday.ca.
Is your home your retirement plan? A Scotiabank Second Opinion can answer your investment questions, even the ones you haven't asked yet. You're richer than you think. Scotiabank.
We've been taking the Cadillac ATS all over the world and testing in different environments. This is an adventurer's dream, a driver's dream. The all-new Cadillac ATS.
So how do we pick a cheater out of a crowd?
Over the years, I would say we easily cheated casinos out of $20 million.
Richard Marcus knows firsthand what to look for. He's a professional casino cheat. At age 8, he says he was swindling other kids while trading baseball cards. And yes, he cheated in high school, where he also started gambling. For 25 years, he was a winner at the cheating game, circling the globe with a team of high-rolling grifters, stripping the profits from casinos.
I always looked at it as an art, but it is illegal, it is criminal, it could be dangerous, but I loved it. I just loved it. I want the dealer to think that it's this bet, that it's 2 $5 chips.
His signature move is a cheat called the Savannah, named after a nightclub stripper. It involves swapping chips right under the dealer's nose.
The dealer never saw the $5,000 chip underneath.
He believes no one feels sorry for casinos when professionals like him cheat the house. But universities? That's a different story.
I guess you could say somebody who might have made one day a good president of the United States or prime minister of Canada maybe would not get there because he didn't get into a university. Maybe the one person above him at the cutoff point got in because he cheated on the SATs.
Richard Marcus says he doesn't cheat anymore. These days, he advises casinos on how to catch people like him. And he has some words of wisdom for schools anxious to put a stop to all the cheating. According to Marcus, it's important to remember that whether it's in the casino or the classroom, for those with a risk-taking personality, it's not just about getting the money or the good marks.
The adrenaline thrill that you get after doing it and the casino pays you, the only thing I can tell you is it's better than sex.
So is dishonesty simply a part of human nature? Something that can make us feel good? Something that can give us an advantage over others? In Boston, Massachusetts, at Harvard Business School, Francesca Gino has been observing our cheating ways.
There are some people that looked at corporate corruption or unethical behavior in the workplace and in society more generally and said, well, it's just a matter of a few bad apples. And that's how we can explain dishonesty. And instead, this new view suggests that even good people can cross ethical boundaries because of very subtle forces.
Dr. Gino says research is showing that when you're sleep-deprived or overworked, you're more likely to have an ethical slip. And be careful what you wear. When you put on fake designer clothes or jewelry, you may end up cheating.
When people wear fake products, they feel fake themselves. So in a sense, they send themselves a signal that they're like a fraud, that they're inauthentic. And that carries on to their behavior, so they're more likely to cheat as well.
And when we see our peers cheat, we're more likely to join in.
The more people cheat, the more it seems normal to cheat. And the more it seems normal to cheat, the more other people feel like they should cheat just to keep up with the cheaters.
It's easy to cheat, Don. You might as well just do what is the easy road, I guess. That's what most people think, right?
That guy did. Yeah. He told me about it. He said that he took financial accounting twice, and then he had classes with another girl in the same major, and they both cheated with each other because they took the same class, same professor, different hours, so same work.
Is it true?
Different student.
Somewhat.
If it weren't for cheating, I may not be standing here. I'd probably still be in high school right now. So I definitely use my... I definitely cheated.
I cheated through high school. I guess I'm one of those kids.
Have you ever cheated on anything in your life?
Yes, I have.
What did you
School.
What did you do?
I did what I needed to do to get a better grade and graduate.
Atlanta, Georgia was recently stunned by revelations about widespread classroom cheating. And this time, it wasn't the kids. Heather Vogel and Alan Judd are investigative reporters at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. With the help of data analyst John Perry, in 2008, they started examining scores from statewide tests. The results from one Atlanta class caught their attention.
There were 32 students in 5th grade who'd failed the math test the first time they'd taken it. Well, the second time they took it, not only did every single one pass, but they scored at the highest level possible. We did talk to one expert who explained to us that the odds of this happening naturally were like a snowstorm in Atlanta in July. So we knew there was something funny going on.
The newspaper's reports, followed by an investigation launched by the governor, found that 178 teachers and administrators had been changing students' test scores to give the appearance of improved school performance. Money, jobs, and prestige were on the line. Teachers and principals were under intense pressure to erase the wrong answers on test sheets and replace them with the right ones. All of this supports the evidence that, given the right circumstances, most people can be convinced, or will convince themselves, to cheat. In Atlanta, some teachers allegedly got together over cocktails to fix the answers on students' test sheets.
They would call them cheating parties or erasure parties. They apparently would get a pitcher of margaritas and a stack of papers and fix them.
Shauna Hayes Tavares says her children were affected by the mark-changing scandal.
I don't trust anything now, and so it's difficult to be in a school system where it's hard to trust teachers, principals, testing, grades. It's like I'm always questioning everything. Since that time, even before that time, I was that kind of parent, but since that time, I have become the parent from down under, and I don't mean Australia. More on the side, boy. I think that our whole society has become this cold, uncaring, no ethics. People just lie, cheat, steal. It doesn't matter. You can be CEOs and, of corporations. You can be teachers and principals of lying and cheating. I mean, it's like, where is the moral fabric here? There is none.
This is something that we should consider as particularly worrisome. So even people that really care about morality, really care about honesty, should be aware of the fact that oftentimes there are forces that lead us astray and made us cheat.
But that doesn't mean that most teachers don't care about cheating. It's the opposite when their life's work and their school's integrity are suddenly called into question.
When you get into your labs this week, look at the person on your left side, look at the person on your right side. Statistically, one of them cheated on the exam. To say I'm disappointed is beyond comprehension.
In this moment caught on video, Richard Quinn at the University of Central Florida confronts his students after discovering that 1/3 of them had got their hands on an advanced copy of an exam. He asked the offenders to confess and told the class that they'd all have to take a new exam.
Don't ask me to do anything for you ever again.
Those of you who know me, let's keep this quiet because, quite frankly, I'm a teacher. I don't want to lose my job.
Frustrated with all the cheating, this high school teacher posted his own kind of tutorial on the internet.
All you need really is sticky pads. It can work with an English text. It can work with a Spanish text. Math doesn't make any difference. You open it up to the page the teacher had assigned, and you actually study it. If you study it and spent half as much time studying as watching these stupid-ass videos, you might learn something.
Still ahead, new weapons in the war on classroom cheating.
We've got simply a 5.8 gigahertz camera that's integrated into this covert bottle with audio that will allow you to do surveillance.
The all-new 2014 Infiniti Q50 is driving the future. With an available 360 horsepower hybrid engine, it exhilarates, satisfying your need for power and intensity. Infiniti, inspired performance.
Years ago, reclaiming land meant planting grass and trees. Today, we create a more biodiverse landscape, including lakes and ponds, trees, shrubs, and plants. Learn more about Canada's energy at oilsandstoday.ca.
Every year at this time, Canada Post delivers more parcels and more gifts than anyone. Except, of course, you know who. Canada Post, delivering the online world.
The all-new 2014 Infiniti Q50 is driving the future. With an available 360 horsepower hybrid engine, it exhilarates, satisfying your need for power and intensity. Infiniti, inspired performance.
So exactly how should schools and universities catch classroom cheaters? At Berkeley Veritronic Systems in New Jersey, Scott Schober makes cell phone detection devices for catching students who use technology to cheat. These gadgets are already popular tools in prisons.
Cell phone detected.
They can point out a cell phone user in a crowd. They can also be concealed in everyday items like a power bar, a book, or a pen.
We've taken it a step further too with cameras. We've got simply a 5.8 gigahertz camera that's integrated into this covert bottle with audio that will allow you to do surveillance.
And to meet a growing demand from schools and universities, Scott Schober has developed this device.
It's, again, a cell phone detector. So a teacher can simply tuck it away in their pocket. Now they could walk around as they're proctoring an exam and find the students that are cheating and get close to them and catch them in the act.
The latest in surveillance cameras, more than 1,000 of them, are the first line of defense against cheaters here at the Aria Casino in Las Vegas. Ted Whiting is in charge.
I get paid to be suspicious, so I look at everyone as a potential criminal, even though I understand they're not.
He was surprised when he heard how much cheating goes on in schools. His advice? Educators need to focus on surveillance and enforcement and face the facts.
If you have statistics that show half the people in the classroom are cheating, that's pretty high. Most people coming to a casino don't cheat. It's way less than 1%, and I think they're all doing it. And for me, I think the best question is, why don't more people cheat? And the answer for that is scrutiny. People walk into a casino, they can see all the cameras, they know they're being watched, and they really are. We do catch people here. Unfortunately, the world we live in, Big Brother works.
But many educators are uncomfortable with having Big Brother in the classroom. That attitude can make high school a surprisingly easy place to cheat. One Canadian university student told us that she used to ask for permission to go to the bathroom during English tests, but would then head straight to the library to look up the answers. And she was a regular smartphone cheater during biology exams. We've agreed to conceal her identity.
Well, I'd actually pull up the browser and stick it right underneath the desk lips, so looks like I'm looking at the test. And then I'd kind of put my hand right up by my head to make it look like I was thinking, but I was actually just looking at the smartphone, reading the answers.
But she swears she's given up her cheating ways now that she's a pre-med student.
I mean, you don't want to have a doctor that cheated in university.
This kind of cheating is obvious, and students report that they rarely get caught. Plagiarism is a different story. Some universities now use software like Turnitin.com to scan essays and papers for content that's actually someone else's work. Students say submitting your paper to one of those searches can be scary, especially for first-year students struggling to learn the rules about plagiarism.
You feel like you're gambling a lot of the time. And only if there's a problem are you told anything.
I have a number of friends who, in the moments before submitting something to Turnitin.com, have a panic attack because they suddenly are just scared that they might have missed something.
Plagiarism is one of the most common kinds of academic misconduct. Students face complex rules about quoting or using ideas and words written by others. There are consequences for poaching someone else's work, even if it's an honest mistake. And that's something Toronto's Emma Teitel was angry enough to rant about.
I was accused of plagiarism in my third year of university for failing to attribute the philosophical phrase category mistake and its stock example to the philosopher Gilbert Ryle, who coined it in 1949. I had assumed the phrase had entered the public domain, like Einstein's E equals mc squared. I assumed wrong, and my failure to cite the term landed me with a plagiarism conviction, even though it was obvious that I hadn't tried to pass off the work as my own. So how could I be a plagiarist? The answer is that university plagiarism has evolved from a strictly moral error to a technical one, so that you can violate your school's academic dishonesty policy in an honest way. It's unfair, but worse, it's illogical. Don't get me wrong, mistakes should not go unpunished. But school isn't golf, and it's time university officials stop weighing technical transgressions on the same scale as moral ones. That's dishonest.
I think that there is a lot of confusion around that. That's one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of having a formal warning as one of the possible penalties that a student might get, so that if the professor or dean is convinced that it was an honest mistake, that there's an opportunity to focus on education.
Most universities have an academic integrity policy. At the University of Manitoba, they make sure students know about it.
We'd rather see students in their classroom answering questions about the rules rather than having them come to our office because they're holding the letter that states that they're going to be investigated for academic dishonesty.
Still, some are desperate enough to try almost anything. Like one university student who plastered a bathroom stall with answers on sticky notes, then asked to be excused during the test. But supervisors had already found his notes. Adam Goodman is a lawyer who specializes in defending students accused of cheating.
The exam might have been worth 35%, so his mark was reduced by double that. So his mark in the course would have been reduced by 70%, which obviously would have caused him to fail the course.
And I think you know why we're here today.
Students accused of cheating are often summoned to an exploratory meeting and questioned. More serious cases can end up in a formal tribunal. Adam Goodman says students need to recognize that it's a lot like a courtroom.
We're looking for honesty here.
Whatever they say is on the record, and their academic crimes may end up being recorded on their transcripts.
And if you can imagine what a grad school or law school or medical school might say, seeing that, it might be the difference between a student being accepted to a program.
There's a lot at stake, too, for honest students who don't cheat.
It cheapens my degree, for starters, if people cheat. And it's not fair, and I think everybody should have an equal playing field.
Academic integrity, it's the cornerstone of what we do here at the university. Oftentimes, though, for students, it's hard to make that connection between deciding to take a shortcut and how that undercuts the reputation of the university.
When we return,
well, let's start making them feel special for being honest.
Cultivating a culture of honesty.
The all-new 2014 Infiniti Q50 is driving the future. With an available 360 horsepower hybrid engine, it exhilarates, satisfying your need for power and intensity. Infiniti, inspired performance.
Got kids? Over the next 25 years, Canada's oil sands could create over 800,000 new jobs across Canada in all sorts of fields. Learn more about Canada's energy at oilsandstoday.ca.
Imagine you could only choose between style or substance. And is better than or. Like all the style and substance you'll find in the award-winning Ford Fusion, with available plug-in hybrid technology and class-exclusive innovation. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. Go further.
The all-new 2014 Infiniti Q50 is driving the future. With an available 360 horsepower hybrid engine, it exhilarates, satisfying your need for power and intensity. Infiniti, inspired performance.
I'm the first of my mother's kids to graduate, and she's not gonna get to watch me graduate.
In 2009, the grade 12 class in Centerburg, Ohio, put on their caps and gowns for a protest in front of the high school after the board canceled their grad ceremony.
I made a promise to my mom 2 years ago that I would be valedictorian at my graduation on her deathbed, and now I don't get to make that promise over nothing in my control.
There's 7 people involved, and there's 100 seniors. This isn't fair.
But administrators stood their ground, saying they wanted to send students a message about cheating. Grads would get their diplomas, but there would be no ceremony because a senior had hacked into the school computer system and distributed advance copies of tests to others. Many kids knew about the cheating, but kept the secret.
Centerburg is going to allow this.
Parents vowed to hold the grad anyway.
Every child will walk across that stage and be able to throw that hat in celebration.
Cheating is not something most people here want to talk about. But we caught up with Centerburg grad Sam Balog at Sam Houston Military Base in San Antonio, Texas, where she's now studying to become an Army medic. She is the only member of the class of 2009 who, when contacted, was willing to speak about what happened.
The kids that actually got caught cheating and caused the whole 2009 class to not graduate, they were actually the good kids, the smart kids. They were the kids you would never expect to actually cheat and cause some ruckus like that.
That wouldn't surprise Don McCabe. It squares with his research.
Kids from the higher the income of their parents, the more likely they were to cheat. And the better they were doing in school, the more likely they were to cheat. Except for the kids that were doing poorest in school, The poor kids, I think, the poor academically performing kids were cheating to survive. The kids at the very top were cheating to thrive.
Sam Balog wasn't one of the cheaters, but like a lot of others in the school, she knew what was going on.
Towards the end of high school, everybody was real close-knit and friendly, and everybody was friends. So we didn't want to tell on our friends, get them in trouble.
Within hours of the grad being canceled, parents had organized their own ceremony in the town's park. It got complicated. With no time to figure out who was guilty, everyone was invited. Those who cheated, those who didn't cheat, and those who just knew about it but kept quiet. But was this the right thing to do?
Parents need to understand that they're not doing their kids any favors by letting them cheat or indulging unethical behavior.
It's easy to say that because it didn't happen in your backyard. And if it was your child that was falsely accused, falsely penalized, then I think you would be irate as a parent.
Kevin Balog is Sam's dad. He helped organize the grad ceremony.
We're a small town. We don't expect a whole lot of things. We do a lot of things ourselves. Graduating from high school is a very big achievement with these children.
It's every parent's dream to see their children graduate and walk on to successful lives. But those who know say when they're cheating to get there, no one ends up winning.
Now that I'm a grown-up, that I have a job, that I have kids, I will not do it. No, not anymore, not again, no. Because that's not what I want to teach my children.
I tell our kids I'll accept an honest C than a cheated A. And we try to teach that to our kids.
If you're not honest with people, then, I mean, you won't be blessed in life, in my opinion.
People can smell integrity from a million miles away. And they can smell the opposite, corrosive character, rotten values. They can smell it from a million miles away as well. And I think our world is aching for more moral heroes.
But the experts also say our children won't cheat less until the rest of us start setting a better example. And that means fixing some other things first.
I think that reducing economic inequality, increasing people's sense of security can play a very big role in reducing that sense that it's a dog-eat-dog economy. Nobody wants to live in a country where everybody is cheating. Nobody wants to go down that slippery slope toward total corruption. And when people get a glimpse of that, I think that there is a sense of pulling back and wanting to do something and wanting reform and wanting less cheating.
Next week, our acclaimed Love, Hate, and Propaganda series returns. This time, George Stroumboulopoulos zeroes in on the War on Terror.
Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda.
Every camera tells two stories. Every win hides a shadow. And only the Spinmeisters can claim success.
Imagine a September 11 with weapons of mass destruction.
In a lopsided war, PR is the great equalizer. Love, Hate, and Propaganda, the War on Terror.
Coming soon on DocZone. Canadian convicts have always dreaded time in Kingston Pen above all else.
You worked or you went to the hole.
And with good reason.
You gotta watch out for the little nut bars. Big guys will come at you, you can see it coming.
DocZone goes inside just before the iron gates close for the last time.
You know, live or die, it didn't matter. I was prepared to die.
Tales from KP, coming soon on DocZone. I'm Anne-Marie McDonald. You can always watch our documentaries at cbc.ca/DocZone. Thanks for joining us.